My scary night with Liam. When you care for a family as a nurse, you always have certain expectations and responsibilities. But that night, everything turned upside down. Based on a true story, it was night, and I, a 25-year-old nurse, was responsible for taking care of Liam, a little 8-year-old boy. His parents called me and said that an emergency had come up and they couldn't come home. Although I felt a bit worried, I couldn't refuse the offer of double pay for that night, as I needed the money for my mother's medical expenses. It was midnight, and exhaustion had taken over my entire being, which is why I suddenly fell asleep. A few minutes later, a terrifying nightmare woke me up. When I opened my eyes, I saw Liam in a strange state. He was sitting in a chair, staring at me with a creepy smile. "Liam, why aren't you asleep?" I asked him in an anxious tone. He calmly replied, "Can you bring me a glass of water?" I rushed to the kitchen and brought him a glass of water. When I went back to his room, I saw that he was asleep. "Liam, didn't you want water? Why did you go to sleep then?" I asked him. Liam nonchalantly said, "I didn't want water." I thought he was just trying to play with me, so I angrily went back to bed. A few minutes later, I heard a loud scream coming from the basement. Terrified and confused, but exhausted, I fell asleep again. Suddenly, another scream, this time louder and scarier, woke me up. Quickly, forgetting the dangers, I headed toward the basement. The door to the basement was locked. I searched the house for keys, but none of them opened the lock. Suddenly, I noticed a strange key that looked like a skeleton's head. I shook my head and, with a trembling heart, inserted it into the lock, and the door opened. I crept inside, but I realized that my flashlight had gone out and the door behind me closed. No matter how hard I tried, the door wouldn't open. I screamed, but no one heard me. After flashlight on and looked for a way out. In the darkness, I suddenly saw dried up bodies, all of them servants. Fear and horror flooded my entire being. Suddenly, one of them struck me on the head with its cold hands, and I lost consciousness. When I came to, everything around me was empty and dark. There was no sign of Liam or that house anymore. Now, I'm sure that night was not just an ordinary night, but became the nightmare of my life.